If I had known what the care homes did for both my mental health and my mum's, it's something that we would have looked at a lot earlier.
Hi, I'm Martin Kemp, and with the help of Bupa, I want to encourage men to open up about their mental health challenges. So, I'm taking them on a drive.
You need a lift? How did your mum's mental health improve after going to the care home?
Before she was in the care home, she was upset a lot, but when she was in the care home, she settled quite quickly, was a lot happier, enjoying having that social side of things, so it definitely improved her mental health.
You know, as men get older, they become more isolated. So going into a care home can actually improve social isolation, can't it?
They can play games with each other and have dinner together, and they all mingle. They have family parties there, or they have little pantos around this festive period. I think that helps deal with the loneliness and isolation. They've got a companion almost again.
Would you advise someone who's got caring responsibilities to go to look into care homes sooner rather than later?
Yeah, if I had known what the care homes did for both my mental health and my mum's, it's something that we would have looked at a lot earlier. It's one of the hardest but one of the best decisions we made for my mum and for my own health.
When you speak to your mum, tell her I sent my love.
Oh yeah, she'll love that. Well, we used to watch EastEnders back in the day.
EastEnders, did she?
A car crash, yeah.